We've got some big news, everybody, especially in the Palantir community. Something that we have all asked for a very long time, that we've hypothesized about, that we've theorized about, that we really thought would be one of the main ways Palantir sets up a trajectory and a foundation for them to be able to grow over the next decade, has finally come to fruition. Not in its entirety, but it's been teased by Palantir, and on their Foundry conference that's happening tomorrow, or in the next 2 days, in the next couple of days, they're going to be exposing all of what they've been working on and how they've been building it. Foundry and Palantir has officially announced Foundry Marketplace. We're going to quickly watch their introduction video. I'm going to give my quick thoughts. Then we're going to watch 2 minutes of what CodeStrap, one of the biggest members of the Palantir community, especially from a technical developer perspective, has talked about for the past 6-7 months. And those 2 minutes in one of the videos he did a couple months ago is going to really elevate and showcase why this is so special, why this can be so important, and why Shyam Sankar, who said Palantir Foundry can be what AWS was last decade for developers this decade, might actually be the case. So let's get into this video right now and let's see what they are building, and then we'll keep going from there. This is from Palantir's Twitter account. Let's play it right now.
Palantir partners with customers across industries to build impactful data assets and workflows in Palantir Foundry. These assets deliver compelling value to individual teams and enterprises. But we asked, why stop there? Introducing Foundry's Marketplace Developer Suite, which allows users to build and distribute products as SaaS. From healthcare operations, semiconductor supply chain, and aviation manufacturing, customers have created their own ecosystems to publish and distribute data products. With modularity backed by Foundry's ontology, Marketplace handles the infrastructure of distribution and application updates. Enterprises can instead focus on building a compelling data product that their customers can discover and install as SaaS. Learn more at palantir.com.
Okay, so already at the core level, what Palantir has created, or what they're kind of teasing here, they're not really hyping it up in this video, and that's because I think they've got a lot of stuff up their sleeve and they've been working on this for a long time, and eventually when it hits fruition, it might be really big, is an app store, and a marketplace, a centralized place where individual startups or companies or different enterprises can build on top of Foundry. Now, what is the core value proposition of this before I get into CodeStrap's analysis? Again, ontology is the thesis of Palantir, not storing your data in compute, which is what AWS and Google do, and Microsoft, but interpreting your data. And we just had a really great podcast a couple days ago where Sachin, someone who has 101% of his US portfolio in Palantir, said that's the only reason he's all in on Palantir. Because if you can save someone $80 million a day by letting them know this one little insight, which, by the way, to get that insight takes a lot of hard work, a lot of ML, AI to be incorporated into a centralized product that can actually deliver that data. Not many people can do that. And if you can do that, you can save people a lot of money. You can get them to make a lot more money on the back end. How valuable is that product? How much are people willing to pay for that? And how much can that grow to every single organization, government or commercial, in the world? And so we've seen a lot of use cases with Palantir being working with the government, working with nonprofits, working with commercial enterprises, and we see the value of this type of a product. Now, when you build that ontology, that single source of truth, what if other companies could just integrate their products, their software as a service, their SaaS products, onto your marketplace, leverage your services, your tools, your templates, as we're about to talk about, that are located within Foundry, and then help get better data on their products and build better data optimization updates and workflows for their clients that are using their software as a service product. So if I'm a software as a service provider and I'm building on top of Foundry, I have clients that are paying me to do XYZ service for them. And if Foundry is helping me do that service, just like AWS is helping you build your startup because it's storing your data so that you can get the data from the customer onto the cloud and actually have a seamless, cohesive integration, how valuable is that? And how valuable is that if Palantir starts taking a little bit of a cut, just like iOS and Google do, from all the apps that you make on their app store? Maybe just 5-6%, maybe even 10%, but 90% of the value you get to keep. And one could argue that it's really justified to keep 90% of the value because Palantir did all the hard work of building that ontology for you that you just have to plug in. This is a really, really interesting value proposition. Let's go to this video. We're going to look at the first 2 minutes. CodeStrap actually sampled me in this video. From a couple months ago, I'm interviewing the CEO of Wejo, Richard Barlow. I have a new interview coming out with him in a couple of days. And so let's take a look at how CodeStrap explained this concept itself.
That would, in effect, supercharge our business or superscale our business. So Foundry as a distribution platform of data insights, with Palantir can go so much quicker than Wejo in terms of the distribution they've already built, in terms of ERP platforms, and in terms of the scale of Foundry. So it became a perfect partnership where the core discipline of processing real-time data remains as Wejo. That is our core IP. But then we're now working with the likes of Palantir's Foundry platform to supercharge our distribution. The first use case is actually in the EV space, where we've announced something called the EV Infrastructure Operating System. And and what we're learning there is that there's this real sort of
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're going to be diving into Foundry templates. And that distribution engine that the CEO of Wejo is referring to is, in my opinion, driven by Foundry templates. Inside Foundry, you can take application modules you've written in their visual tools like Workshop, their no-code tool, or in code repositories or any other feature, and package it up as a template, which can then be imported and used by any other Foundry user in different Foundry installs. One could imagine this powering a sort of app store for enterprise in a way that cannot be done today with traditional SaaS that's integrated typically through a bunch of RESTful web services. The RESTful web services, for people who don't know, are these application programming interfaces or APIs that are called, and you generally have to stitch all this integration layer together by calling these REST APIs. But Foundry is giving you a complete software stack out of box that can be distributed among a consortium of Foundry users. To me, this makes their entire go-to-market strategy make a hell of a lot more sense, because the network effects for people building these templates for existing Foundry customers will be massive, and it could support the next generation of startups built on Foundry. It could be the backbone of engineers who are raised on Foundry. So
Okay, now that is a big deal. I'll put this video in the description so you guys can check out the whole thing, but those are the core 2 minutes that I wanted to highlight right there. When you have a generation of developers building on top of a product, that shifts the next decade's trajectory of how technology companies are built. Now, the like sort of fundamental question here is, why would they be building on Foundry? And as CodeStrap mentioned, it's not just an API. An API, like if I'm building a product that helps you schedule your tweets, right? Let's say, I want to charge $20 a month for you to type something in my app, and then it automatically posts to Twitter for you while you're sleeping, right? So it schedules your tweets. Twitter actually has this feature. It's just not that good. So I would connect to Twitter's API, right? Their application programming interface, integrate it within my startup, and then boom, now I have a connection between this platform and my platform, and hopefully it provides some value. What CodeStrap's saying here is that it's not just about an API. It's a full suite of services that are necessary for developers, especially people that are building very intense technical products, to be able to leverage all of the value that Palantir's Foundry has. In this case, you'd be leveraging like the user base of Twitter if you were just worried about connecting to their API, which is an important thing. But in the context of Foundry, when you're building SaaS services where you don't give a crap about like daily active users, you care about, can I get someone to pay me $10,000 a year for this service in software? Like, that's a question of how can I make the software as good as possible? And so when you think about these things that he's talking about when it comes to templates, these are all different pre-built ideas that people have built on top of the Foundry marketplace, which now we have an official word for. And the network effects of that are really fun. Because if you build something in AWS, for example, like in 2006, when people were building different mini services on AWS, those things, I mean, Amazon realized, hey, this can be valuable to this startup and this startup and this company. And by the way, startups at the time were like Netflix. People, 2006, I understand Netflix, okay, it wasn't a startup, it went public, I get it. But I mean from the question of their entire business model was changing from 2006 to 2010. They were realizing the value of the cloud and streaming, and Reed Hastings was a visionary to do this. So yes, they were a public company, they weren't literally a startup, but from a streaming perspective, they were absolutely a startup. They were just trying to figure out how to do this. And so you see all these different services that were valuable in the cloud computing era that now, millions of companies use every day. Those are network effects. If Palantir has all these companies building on top of the Foundry marketplace because the value of ontology and the templates that are built upon them actually makes their software better, not only does Palantir get network effects from that, which means the Foundry marketplace gets better, it offers more services, all other developers can interact with the developers and use different tools developers are creating, increase the revenues of their SaaS products because they're become more efficient and effective. But then from a business perspective, as CodeStrap mentions, the go-to-market strategy makes a hell of a lot more sense. Because not only is there a potential reoccurring revenue model here where you take a little bit from these companies that are using right now, I don't think Palantir wants to do that because they just want to get people onto the platform, right? As you know, if they could get 1 million developers using this thing every month, that would be amazing because think of all the different products that would be created out of that. And the back end, Palantir gets paid from that because when you have 1 million developers using your crap, they're going to recommend to the C-suites, hey, we need to get this thing integrated because it's making our life a lot better. That is a real bull case for the developer community using this marketplace. And then on the flip side of that, you've got all these network effects that cause all these developers to keep using it. And then potentially you've got this recurring revenue if Palantir takes a couple percentage points off the product you build on their marketplace and you get to sell it through their marketplace. Potentially, this is my hypothesis, that now people can offer, or then people can buy right from there. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas from a go-to-market strategy, from a distribution perspective, from a potential new reoccurring source of revenue perspective that gets Palantir to really benefit from this marketplace idea. So this is exciting. I mean, we've been waiting for it for a while. I remember talking about this back in February with CodeStrap in one of our earliest interviews where he said, think of Foundry like an app store. Think of it like iOS, where people can build on top of it, which is what AWS is. That's what GCP is. These cloud computing providers are like app stores. You build stuff on top of it. And then the value comes back to the platform. YouTube is like video, individual content creators are great, but you know, Meet Kevin will never make more than YouTube, even though he's the best finance creator, because YouTube is the platform. The platform is where the power lies. And Meet Kevin and me and all these other people, we're leveraging YouTube because YouTube has the user base, right? So we're just cogs in the machine, but the machine is YouTube. I want to invest in the machine, not the cogs in the machine. And I think Palantir Foundry might have a chance of becoming the machine. And if it does, we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I appreciate your comments. Subscribe to dailypalantir.com. Please sign up for my startup in the description. A lot of good Palantir audio there. I will see you guys in the next one. By the way, subscribing for the email newsletter on dailypalantir.com, totally free. Link in the description. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.